Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer, dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom. As always, we try to bring you guests that will empower you, guests that will energize you, guests that will make a difference in your life. And I've brought such a guest. I brought a manufacturer, an innovator in the leather industry, and her full name is Lebang Kolagano, and she's going to share with you all about her business. But as always, I like my guests to be the ones introducing themselves. Welcome to the studio, Mema Kolagano.
Thank you for having me, Mogobe. Yes, my name is Lebang Kolagano. Sorry
Lebang,
about that.
not Lebang. Lebang, yes.
Lebang Kolagano. I am a leather manufacturer. I have a brand that is called Lebang Setso Leather Crafters. That was started in 2009. I also sit as chairperson of the newly established Leather Entrepreneurs Association. And I also, I do a whole lot of stuff.
Keep going. We're enjoying this. Yeah.
I also happen to be a part of the new supplier development program that is just newly launched. I think it's actually in the second year through UNDP, where we would be working with your small SMMEs, helping them to be better suppliers to their current larger companies, which are buyer companies. So I would say I am a person who's very passionate about SMME development and the creative industries.
Okay. Academically and training-wise?
I am a graduate of University of Botswana. I did design and technology. I'm a teacher by profession. I did B.Ed design and technology. That is where my passion for making stuff or being an artist grew. That means stems from. My idea for studying design and technology was I realized we are more consumers of already made products from outside. So the idea is to just revolutionize and change all that through learning design and technology, because design and technology was to teach manufacturing. It just teaches you manufacturing throughout, across the board. We're using leather, using wood, using metal, using plastic. Okay. So that is what I studied.
Okay, and when did you set up your current business?
It started in 2009, but beforehand, prior to that, it was just more of a hobby. I just did it, and people liked. I started making jewelry out of leather, and people kind of liked it, and that's when I thought, okay, maybe since I've always wanted to be a game changer, we have this issue of many cattle in our country, and
yes.
we don't know, we are not fully utilizing the leather. It's a burden to the country in terms of exposing it. So we decided, my husband and I then decided, okay, maybe let us go into the leather business and just make bags and see how far this can go.
You started the business in the middle of, the great, it wasn't a depression, but the Great Recession.
Yeah.
How was it at the beginning?
It was tough and challenging, because the leather industry in itself in our country is almost non-existent or non-heard of. So even if you try to approach your funders or your people who could invest in you, there's always that challenge of people believing that something that is so new to the country could ever take off or could ever make a profit. So it has always been challenging, because one, as much as I was trained in leather, I didn't have the experience. I didn't have anybody to mentor or to look up to, instead of relying on the internet and all that. So it was a bit of a challenge in that regards. And we had to, or we are still educating people in differentiating between like artificial leather and real leather. So people just take the two as if they are the same, or because they look the same, people don't know how to differentiate. So if you are selling a bag that is genuine leather at 500 pula, the fake leather or artificial or PU would be charged at 50 pula. So somebody would be asking you, or why would I buy a bag for 500 pula when I can easily get it from Chinese shop at 50 pula, or I can get it from the retail stores at 250 pula. So there's always been that challenge.
There's also a thing called leatherette, isn't it? What is that?
That is leatherette. That is on PU. That is artificial leather. That is
P
plastic.
stands for what?
Polyurine, poly something, just plastic.
Yes.
Yes.
And are you winning the battle of educating the market?
I think it's always going to be an ongoing education that is continuous, because we are also trying to change this mindset that leather is not it's a natural resource, you know. So we are also upcycling and otherwise material that would cause pollution. So we need to really upgrade it and stop using the PUs and all that, and capitalize on using leather for anything that needs to be covered in leather, or anything that needs to, any of the products that we find leather being used in. Yeah.
Are you able to tell, for instance, looking at this chair, whether it's leatherette or PU?
That's the challenge.
The
easiest, the one behind me.
The one behind you. Can you
Okay.
touch and tell me whether it's real or not?
The commonest, or the simplest is sniffing, because leather, when you tan it, you use a chemical called chrome, which it will always, which gives that pungent smell that you'd find when you get into a leather shop. You know, that darkish, musky, I don't know, it's muscular or whatever, but that nice fresh feeling. So the first test would be to really sniff.
Because when you get into a new car, you get a certain smell.
Yes.
Yes.
You should get.
But it's not pungent. It's very friendly.
It's not pungent. I love it. I thrive on it. So it's that one. Or there's the stretch test. Okay, if you really stretch leather, it
you
doesn't
can't tell
break.
by touching. I wanted you to touch this one.
You can't tell by touching. They'll always be they're almost the same to touching. And then when we are at the tanneries, you would probably use like burning, because plastic would burn faster and then leather would.
Okay.
You know, so yeah.
Let's talk about your brand, Lebang Setso Leather.
Okay.
Tell us about the Setso part. Setso actually means what? Tradition or culture?
Yes. This here, we're just asking the whole world to look at us as we celebrate our culture. We don't, when we started, we didn't use any machineries. We just used your very old traditional methods of making products that our forefathers used. You know, we are cutting by hand, we are dyeing by hand, we are stitching by hand. We are using these stitching techniques that are only known by, unique to us as a country. So this was just telling people to now look at us, you know.
And where did you learn these tactics or these techniques?
My grandmother was a tanner. My grandmother was a tanner, so I would sit with her when she made those dipade. She used to make us the blankets. That is when my desire for, my love for, or passion for leather grew. And then during varsity, you know, we had this 3 months vacation. I went and I did a short course, go RIC, Rural Industries, which used to be there. It used to offer, it used to offer both tanning and manufacturing. So I went through both the courses.
And how did they go?
They were very good. They were very good. It's a pity somehow somebody somewhere decided they were not necessary, or they were doing some upgrading that didn't go well, because it was closed. It's been closed to about 20 years, 15 years that it has been closed. And the sad part is the building is still there, and we still need the skills for developing our sector.
Okay. And then how did it all start? Could you tell us what was the first thing you designed and so on? Maybe take us through some of your products as well.
Okay. We started with the earrings. Yes, we would make very small yana earrings. I was a teacher at Ramoto Secondary, so I just turned my sitting room into a workshop, my husband and I. So I would make the products after school, and he would spend the whole day at the main mall, just in front of Absa. It was Barclays before. That's where we started. So interest grew from those earrings, and then with my practical skills in design, I started making some bags, which people are like, I have some clients who bought bags since then, and they're still wearing them with pride. And when I look at them, I'm like, oh gosh, please go and throw that bag away. You know,
Why?
I'm looking at the techniques then. You know, they were so there was no
so
technique.
rudimentary, so basic.
So basic, you know. So, but they love them. They think they're fine. But I see the difference between what we were doing then and what we are doing now. So there's been a very slow growth, you know, in terms of growing the business. We started at 2 with my husband, and our employees grew from us being 2 to a time when we had about 10 employees, and now we're only 2 again, you know. So there's always so there's always that up and down, you know, kind of movement within the business cycle.
Take us through these products one by one. Explain what this is, how you designed it.
Okay. These are ladies' wallets.
Maybe we should lift for the camera here.
Ladies' wallets, ladies' purses, all handcrafted. This is cow leather. Okay. Leather is there's different kinds of leathers depending on how it has been tanned. How it has been tanned. There's upholstery leather, that is the leather that we're using here. It has been tanned through chrome tanning. And then there is this kind of leather that is known as
also a lady's bag.
Also a lady's purse. This is what I'm currently using. So this leather is called veg-tanned leather. It's tanned using vegetables as opposed, yes. Vegetables meaning here your musitanas, your musu, yes. So those plants,
traditional herbs.
Traditional herbs. Those plants have tannage properties. They're able to kill the microorganisms that are within the skins of the cows or the goats, so that it doesn't rot. So that you have.
So is this particular one, is it a cow or a goat leather?
This is goat, goat skin, yes. Okay. And then these are.
So how long do you take to kill the microorganisms, and how do you go about doing that?
It depends on either the 2 types of tannage that you would be using. With vegetable tanning, it takes a longer time. With chrome tanning, because it's a chemical that eats. We use a lot of acids. Chrome is an acid. So it's much quicker, and it's more. You can use it for bigger businesses. You know, this one takes longer, so people don't really like using it. But it's the one that is more durable, more natural, more resistant than the chrome tanned. But because we are in business, we need to be producing in volumes. This is the one that is like always being done.
I'm very curious about this one with the tanning.
Vegetable tanning.
Yeah, vegetable tanning. How long does that take?
How long? You could probably take a month to 3 months, depending on the number of skins that you are tanning. It's also very labor intensive, because they would be put into whatever container. There will be. The leather needs to soak in. It needs to be soaked
for a whole month.
Not for a whole month. You put it in maybe for a week, and then you take it out, and then put into lime. I'm not really a tanner. You put it into lime, and then the lime would start making the hairs to be able to be taken off easily. And so after that, that is when you put it on something, you start scraping off the hair.
And you don't do the tanning yourself?
I don't do the tanning myself.
Who does that for you?
Well, I am supplied by different tanning companies, and unfortunately we don't have a tanning company in our country currently.
Where are they based?
Either South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe. That's where we
People
get
with far fewer cattle than us.
far fewer cattle than us, yes. Most of the leather, the skins that are produced here go to South Africa, and we follow them to South Africa, buy them and bring them back here.
But if it's something that is fairly straightforward, why can't we start it?
The problem is for mass production of leather, you would need to do the chrome tanning. The chrome tanning needs to have an affluent plant. That is where the water that you've been using, remember I said you need the leather has to be soaked in lots and lots of water. So that water would contain chrome. So getting rid of that chrome and the hairs is that challenge. You can't use your normal sewage system. You have to make your own specialized sewage system.
Are there special machines then for disposing of that?
Yes, that is the affluent plant I'm referring to. Yes, so it's quite expensive to construct. So that is the biggest catch in us making it. That's the idea for government to do the leather park in Lubatse. They were to make the affluent plant that would allow me to come in and just concentrate on the direct inputs of the tonnage.
How capital intensive is it? Why is it only government can do it?
It costs millions.
I'm asking, what sort of monies are we talking?
Millions. Millions. Well, it depends on the scale that you're looking for. It can go from about 5 million to 10 million to 25 million.
You mean there isn't a committed tenor who can invest up to 20 million in Botswana and take advantage of so many cattle that we have?
I think there's always that issue where if somebody wants to come in as a private company, you'd always be referred to this leather park that is coming in. So that has somehow deterred.
Are they stopping people? Are they refusing to issue licenses or permissions?
And then there's that EIA issue. The EIA people will always come up with some kind of excuse as to why this location or that location is not viable for a leather tonnage. So people have tried, and then once they're supposed to get licenses, EIA comes in and says, no, you are next to a stream, so you could probably cause contamination to underground water and all that. So there's always been that barrier between potential investors and the powers that be who give the licensing and who give the authority for a leather park to be set up.
Is there no easy way of then trying to clean the water after it goes through this process?
With modern technology there is, but people are always so stuck with the olden methods of doing things that they are not even wanting to hear. And I think people have now become so...
People in government, you mean?
People in government, people with, BMC has a tannery, but it's closed because they believe it's in the middle of the town. So, but we are trying to convince people that there are newer and modern technologies that would not even take the waters to your sewages, would just be recycled within the tonnage. But,
nobody believes that, or seems to believe that.
Yeah.
You're going to explain this other product. You say it's your main one.
These are hip bags. So these
like a rucksack.
Something like you put someone here.
Or around the hip.
Around the hip.
Not at the back.
Not at the back. We also have backpacks. We have a range of bags that we are making. We have your laptop bags, your travel bags, your fashion bags, and we make different kinds of bags.
And you say this is popular because?
Nowadays I find people don't want to carry bags over their
shoulders
or they want something that is you just drop your stuff and you forget you have a bag on you, and it looks quite nice.
Around the waist.
Around the waist, yes. So this is some trending now.
What does it retail for?
It costs 1.2.
1.2, okay. And this is made in BW?
This is made in BW.
Wow, this is great.
Proudly handmade in Botswana.
Okay. Where's the label now? I don't see it.
These are still in production. They are not even finished. So I just grabbed a few samples to come here.
Okay.
What is finished?
Just the label that is left.
It's
isn't
just
it?
the labeling and the polishing and the finishing off.
How long does it take to create a product like this from start to finish?
Our motto in manufacturing a bag is, with machining, one person is 3 bags per day. Yes.
Okay, you are part of the Leather Entrepreneurs Association of Botswana.
Yes.
Tell me about the association.
Well, we decided because there's a need to engage with government in terms of what we have just been discussing, changing the mindset of people in terms of allowing investors to come in at ease, giving us peace as well as manufacturers, changing policies, just having one voice as leather people. So we decided to set up this tannery. It consists of collectors, tanners. Collectors are your abattoirs, your BMCs, your farmers, and everybody who collects the skins.
Yes.
Before they become leather, they are skins and hides, I guess.
Yes.
And so anybody who deals with the skins are in our value chain. And then there would be tanners, there would be manufacturers, and there would be suppliers. Suppliers would be, currently there are those that are buying leather from outside and buying your chemicals and your components and then selling to us manufacturers to make our products.
And does it have a large membership?
We are standing currently at around 89.
That's big.
That is big. Our only hindrance is that because the leather industry is at its very infancy stage, you'd find that most of our members are people who are at a very micro, working at very micro scales. You know, there are those ladies that you find go main mall. There are those people you find under your trees.
Mainly informal industries.
Mainly for informal industries. So pushing and lobbying and like collaborating to make impacts has been quite difficult. You know, even reaching out to them has been quite difficult.
What is your position in the organization?
I'm the chairperson of the association.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And does it have like its main objectives? I see that you've already covered the overview of the industry, but what is, insofar as the whole industry is concerned, what are the main deliverables or objectives of the association?
Okay. One, skills development. We don't have a training institute. Most of us here are self-taught. So we have a challenge in terms of skills because that translates to the quality of the products. Either it's leather, either it's the products that we are making. We have tanners who are using vegetable tanning, which is traditional. And I can't use the leather because of its quality. I have to rely on the leather that comes from outside. So our major issue with government is please assist with setting up maybe a training institute. And then two, our market. You know, we have retail stores in Botswana. The government as well is buying leather products. So why isn't, we have companies like myself, I'm making bags, I'm making also belts, others are also making belts and all that. Maybe there has talks with the retail stores that at least a certain percentage of our products should be consumed by these retail stores. Even government has procured.
Isn't it a matter of quality?
That's the other, but there's this chicken and egg issue that we are always talking about. Okay, if you don't empower me or capacitate me or give me that job and help me to grow, who's going to do that? You know, so you can't, people are just giving up before even trying to help. So we are, with the association, we are trying to have one loud crying voice to say, people, we are here, we have our shortcomings, but we've stood the test of time and we've been there and we are here. We just need a push.
And how long have you been in the organization?
We just came in like fully registered 2019, just as the COVID pandemic was like really hitting. So it has really staggered our mandate of doing doing our stuff or our business.
Okay.
And
Now, since lobbying is a big part of this, how do you go about lobbying for support and lobbying for policy change? Do you talk to your parliamentarians or what? What is the plan?
yes, we've recently just wrote a letter to the HE just to talk to him about our grievances. That seriously, still up to date, we can't, as a country, be proud of not fully utilizing our leather. So this is upon all of us. It's not just me or the association. This is something that has to be like all of us decide we have to act on it. So we're just talking to him about that. They had, government had set aside Lear. There was an incubator where Lear. It had its problems, we had our problems, but somehow they gave up, it's shut down.
When?
I think this is this year.
Oh,
It's closed.
it's a shame.
It's
The
a
reason?
shame. I think they just lost hope
Why?
in us.
Was there no response from your side?
People, there were companies that were there.
Mm.
The problem is, I talked about skills. Even within government, there's a shortage of skills in terms of leather development. So there was always a clash between the clients, that is us, and the management or the employees of Lear. Guys, we are both not going anywhere. So can we?
Can we skill?
Can
Can,
we-
can
yeah,
we
can
develop our skills?
Yes. So
And the budgets did not allow or something.
that one is, it's still a thorny issue because we've always engaged and we've never really gotten to understand each other. You know, government would say, you people are crybabies. We've set up an area for you at subsidized rent. We've put in some machineries even. So what else do you want?
And you would respond by saying,
We need you to be supporting us in terms of upgrading our skills and then making a conducive environment for us to sell, especially to you as government.
why can't you yourselves offer these skills and train and
We-
offer training?
There are people who are offering your basics into these, but then you would also have to be accredited by BQA, which also requires you to have been trained, like have a qualification, not just have been trained Goriki. You know, so there are always these challenges that we are coming.
So
the-
they make it very difficult
They
for
make
you.
it very difficult.
They're
and
not really creating in
in
other words, they're
mm,
choking you with regulations. Is that what's happening?
That is what is happening.
Okay. The status of the creative industries in Botswana. You want to talk about that?
We are crumbling, we are crying. You know, everything has really come to a standstill, basically. You know, we are just on survival mode at the moment because you'd find that we relied on mass people congestions, people coming up together, events and all that, and all those have finished. So it means that where I used to make dipate for traditional, for your weddings and all that, it's no longer happening. You know, where a fashion designer used to be making paka, you know, these attires for weddings, it's no longer happening. Where you would be dressing an MC to go and present at an event, it's no longer happening. So most of us have either closed, looked for a different career, or we are just like on survival mode.
But surely you cannot be despondent and give up. Where is the silver lining? What is the hope that
No,
we have?
the hope now is we really need to change our mindset. We are really working as members, as associations. You would find now most creative disciplines have their own associations where each of us are really looking into ourselves for really how can we move from what is happening without okay, we can ask for assistance, but now we really have to look within ourselves. We are the strongest component in making sure that we jump over this hurdle that we are facing.
And any opportunities offered by COVID people talk of a COVID dividend.
They are there, you know. I think for basically everybody now has realized that digitalization, going online, is the best way that you can start selling. So understanding how people now are buying as opposed to how they were buying before, you know, we are exploring all these opportunities and avenues. And the good part now, we are collaborating more with other creatives. Like now I have to utilize like a photographer to shoot my products so that there'll be better imaging when they are on the internet, you know. So I'm also working with models, you know. So it's more of collaborations. It's brought those opportunities of collaborations and job creations. Whereas before I would just take my samples and take my catalog and go into people's offices and sell. Now I'm creating this whole value chain, and you know. So those are the opportunities. And we are now not only looking at Botswana, as we've realized it's a global world through the internet. So we are joining even other platforms where we can sell our products to a wider market.
Has Setso actually, Lebang Leather actually started doing that?
We are currently working with Ministry of Trade and Mighty and US Trade Hub to get some of these products into the AGOA market. So we are still, it's a very long process, exporting, and it's also very expensive. And mind you, at this time, we really don't have that much money to dispose to marketing.
Yeah, the viewers may not know what AGOA is and how it works. Can you take time to explain?
AGOA is an initiative by the US government to import products from Southern Africa or Africa duty-free. So it's supposed to end in 2025. To date, there are close to 2 or 3 companies that are fully utilizing AGOA. So we would want to ride on that as creative industries and sell our products, get our
Only
products.
3 from Botswana?
Only about 3 from Botswana.
Although it's been around this long?
Yeah.
Why?
Mostly it's because of, one, the logistics. Some of us, you just go in and you find so many things that need to happen, and you learn as you go, and those mistakes can be very costly. So some have tried and pulled out because of those nitty-gritties, you know, logistics and licensing and compliance and all those. So those have been some of the stumbling blocks of getting products to AGOA. It needs a lot of patience and it needs a lot of capital investment.
Is there any likelihood of it being extended, or 2025 is the complete end of it?
Our hope is, even if it's not extended, we believe the US government will always have some kind of working relations with with African countries in terms of consuming our products. So we just hope it is extended, but if it's not, we believe there will be something in place that will.
Can't your associations help you maneuver through all these processes and procedures?
We are all learning. None of us have been into export, but with the US Trade Hub, at least now they've brought in some experts that are taking us through the whole, what you need coding, because you need codes for your products. Under which code are you exporting under? What are the licensing or the requirements or that you need for your products to get there? When the routes that you need to take when you export and all that, who's going to handle your products when they get there? At what stage will they be packaged, or will they be, you know, all these logistics. The companies are there to assist us with those, and those companies need to be paid.
Yes. Okay. So what did you say, with all this in mind, how does the future look like for the leather industry?
We are very hopeful. We'll always be hopeful because we've got, one, the natural, the input, it's abundant. And yes, we have us who are very passionate. And 2, we believe there's a market for leather products. So we just have to tidy up, polish up our issues, and I believe we're good to go.
Yeah. And with that in mind, if you look at a thing like Africa a continental trade area, you know, where barriers are coming down and they're opening the continent. What are the prospects for you in the industry?
Yes, it's a good thing. We are very happy about it. We are also at SACU level, you know, talking about like your Southern African working together.
Customs Union.
Customs Union, yes, working together as these 5, 6 countries around here, and creating a market and upscaling ourselves so that you'd find that here in Southern Africa, it's South Africa that is like more prominent. And then how do we as Botswana, Swaziland and Lesotho learn from South Africa? Or how do we benefit from South Africa? You know, how does South Africa benefit from us? So those are the talks that we are currently having at regional level.
Because what you're saying is that they have to open the SACU market before we talk about the rest of Africa.
Not really, but you know, for me, like I'm skeptical about the AGOA initiative. I'm for, can't I start home, then maybe South Africa be my springboard and then go up there? Because you'd find that markets are different. You know, the American market has its own unique needs that I would have to be very strong founded for me to go there. So I have to set my foundations first here, maybe regionally, and then go to AGOA. But that's my, you know, my own opinion.
But given your argument that, you know, with the internet, you know, the world is basically your market as a whole, are you not thinking of exploring other markets, even the Far East, etc.?
For Lebang Setso, not yet. For Lebang Setso, not yet. I'm, as much as we would, those are long-term, long-term missions or visions that we have for the company. But there's a lot of foundations that we need to put in place. One, capacitate us to be able to have systems in place that will be able to supply. When you go to like AGOA that we want to supply, and you just miss one order, you are dead. So
why is that?
Because you've written contracts with people, they will sue you for not delivering. You know, so those are some of the things that we are weighing.
So let's talk about local procurement. I don't know whether you are thinking in terms of councils and government. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes, like we have members that are making school shoes. Tota school shoes PEP is selling school shoes. The government is buying school shoes that are made in South Africa by small companies. So why are we creating employment elsewhere instead of creating employment in our own country? If like people have approached your retail stores and they would say, okay, now we are ready. If you can supply me with 2.5 pairs of shoes per day, I'll be okay. So where do I get the machinery to be able to produce those 2.5 shoes per day? You go to CEDA, you try to ask for funding. They would say you only have one client. We're not going to... Referring to that maybe PEP, that maybe or agreement that you have with PEP, or you supply me with school shoes 2,000.
Oh, so you have only one client.
So you need
at least how many?
6 or 4. So you know,
before they can fund you.
Before they can fund you, they'll be saying, "Can I have this client changes? You are not going to be in business." So those are some of the things that we just need to, you know, fix. So that people can be able to supply. Even the procurement, EDD, it's not really working because you would find...
Explain to people what you mean by EDD.
Economic diversification drive, which means a government will procure locally manufactured goods over those that come from outside.
Why do you say it's not working?
It's not working. I've long stopped renewing my license because whether I put it in my tendering or not, it doesn't really carry any weight.
So it's just a scheme, a government scheme in name only?
It has been a name only, and we are in talks with government to, but at least now things are changing. You now see your breads confectionaries have closed borders so that local confectionaries may be able to supply all these retail stores. Maloba, I saw that now popcorns and all that have also been closed. Even with us, we were suggesting we close your belts, simple belts. Making a belt is one of the easiest in the leather industry. So that's another avenue that could help sustain the leather industry.
And they're refusing to close belts?
No, the issue now has been with leather. The quality of the leather is still, still need to upgrade it.
This looks to me like pretty good quality.
And then capacity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so right. But we are working on that one. We are trying to cluster through the association, cluster ourselves so that we'll be able to produce the
Is it your view that the local leather industry can only pick up if protected at the border by government in terms of enforcing these preferential treatment?
I strongly believe that. Ghana government's duty is to create an enabling environment. So that would be enabling. Right now it's just open. Anybody can come in. And these big guys come in and monopolize the whole system. So we'll be just there as bystanders. But if they just put in place no more mabante, I think these retailers or this government would be, or even you would be able to come and buy from me instead of saying, no, but I wanted a belt that has a certain logo, or I wanted a bag that has a certain brand,
Because those things don't matter, as shown by your customers who you say many years later they still remember you.
But it's a small portion. We need Botswana is very small, it's not sustainable to supply only Botswana or to rely on one-on-one customers. Government, for most SMMEs, Ghana is the largest buyer, or Ghana is a buyer that we look up to. So we need him or her to realize they are leather manufacturers, give them a chance.
Okay. So in summary, what would you say are the aspirations of your industry?
Our aspirations is to see leather beneficiation, leather value chain working, Ghana from cow, Murua Komu should be paid for that leather. So that is income getting in. The person who buys that leather to go and tan it, at a higher price than so he'll also be creating employment. Lerona, when we buy and make our products, creating employment, I get, even creating an income. So with that chain systemized and capacitated, there will be lots and lots of jobs created. There will be lots and lots of revenues that GDP would grow just through the leather industry.
HE has been talking about a reset, and I've been asking people about it. What are your views on this reset? Is it happening, or? I'm
yet to see what it means and what has started. I saw him presenting on the reset then, but I have never seen anything.
It's only been 2 or 3 months, isn't it?
It's only been 2 or 3 months, but we were hoping it would be instant, because at what is currently going on, there's no time for delays. We need to act. Everything should be done now, not later.
You've studied this industry for many years. When you look around the world, are there any countries to look up to? Where do we benchmark?
I like Zimbabwe. You see, Zimbabwe's economy is way challenged than we are, but they have tanneries, they have industries that are thriving, So I'm working a lot in terms with the Zimbabwean leather industry associations, and government is taking a huge part in the development of that industry. They are putting in so much money. They are bringing in so much expertise to come and work within the leather industry. I'm looking at Ethiopia. Ethiopia as well is doing the same as what Zimbabwe is doing. they are working hand in hand with government to make sure that their leather produces the best quality leather and as products. So there's Italy, of course, there's India and all that, but just looking here around home, I love what Zimbabwe is doing. I love what Ethiopia is doing.
Have you been there to study their tanneries and their system, especially how they circumvent the issue of that the environmental people are complaining about, that of effluents and contamination, environmental contamination?
They have mostly small-scale tanning, which uses very minimal chrome, and other companies there are allowed to just use the sewage system, which here you can never even dare ask.
What's wrong with using the sewage system?
They believe the chrome will get into the sewage system and contaminate the whole.
But it's waste. Is it a belief that's unique only to Botswana?
It's there everywhere. That it's there everywhere. But countries have always worked on how to mitigate the effects of the contamination, either through in-house technologies and all that. So those are the technologies that we would love government to look at now and stop thinking you can only use those. Even septic tanks, because Zimbabwe they're using septic tanks. One, they believe you can't use a septic tank. They believe it will immediately just contaminate.
Is it just one person, or is the whole?
It's the whole system.
Can't you teach them? Can't you give them proof that it doesn't?
The problem with our industries is you'd find people who have worked there since 1900 with their beliefs set in stone. Ghana, this is like this. So trying to change somebody like that is a huge problem.
So our only prayer is for their retirement.
Our only prayer is for their retirement. I think that's the only thing that can happen. But we are hoping that with COVID, people will start looking within themselves, especially government, to realize that, but there's something missing here. Why don't we, there's this leather raw material that is lying around that we are giving to South Africans come rushing for this for these skins. So why are they coming in rushing to come and get our skins? Can't we create an enabling environment for these pure people who have been crying for so many years?
So if it were up to you to just get this, perhaps your company re-energized and restarted, what will it require? Suppose there's a potential investor out there. What would it take to get Setso, Lebang leather back on its feet and to get it really to push?
We need good quality leather. We need good quality machineries, very robust marketing campaigns. Through this AGOA initiative and the US Trade Hub, we get to meet.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is, if money was not a problem.
Oh, if money was, yes.
Yeah, and you have an investor, what would you be looking at? What is there a number that you have in mind? You're looking for someone to inject some money to get this business re-energized?
Yes, we're always looking for partners for growth, because therefore we have learned and we know what is needed we know what the market, says the South African market, wants, needs. We are still exploring the market, or what kind of products will they be looking for, But already we know what Rona locally and regionally is needed. So all that we need to be doing is coming with the correct systems, just to put in the correct systems in terms of production, so that there's efficiency, so that there is quality, quality control. So those are just the little things that we just need.
So why don't you explore things like Angel Network Botswana to see whether you can have investors come in and assist, if provided you have a good value proposition and there's potential for growth.
Yeah, I know. Even for small businesses, you'd find that you have compliance issues here, you're not doing something right here and there. When you
But there are
try-
manufacturers already who are killing it in Botswana.
Yes.
If you have people like that backing your business or in partnership with you, mentoring you or assisting you, surely you would get over the current glitch. Am I right?
Yes, it is true. It is true. Totahela is just for us to polish up our dirty linens, I would say. Just get ourselves in order, you know. And
yeah. So I would propose that you look at Angel Network Botswana or some such organization to first they will determine whether the business is investable and whether you have a product that can be scaled. If all you're looking for is money, they can look for ways of getting people to invest. If you have a workable business idea, that's just me suggesting.
yes, we actually are working with, like, I wanted to put this, like, we are working with a company in South Africa to do that. Though it's targeted for export. So they're trying to find, okay, what is it that we need to do so that we can get your products to the US market, and then find the resources, bring them just here, we work on them. So it's not all gloom, it's just it's taking longer than we would want to happen.
So if you had your crystal ball and you're looking into, if you're looking into the future and trying to figure out where your business will be, say, 10 years from now, what would you be 10 to 15 years from now?
Long-term vision and mission of ourselves is to have have our products in stores in Paris, you know, in the USA, you know, people knowing the brand Lebang Setso, really identifiable. When somebody sees a bag that is made by us, they should be able to pick whether that is a bag anywhere in the world. That is a bag that is made in Africa, that is made in Botswana. So that is what we really are working on now, finding that uniqueness that we will offer to the whole world, so that can be scaled up.
So will it require an intensified marketing effort?
It would, definitely.
All the best. This is a part of the show where you get to ask me a question.
Okay, I don't know, maybe what advice would you give us as the leather industry or the creative industry? I've just given you a highlight of our challenges, our thinking model, or where we are. So what would you advise us?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the context of Lebang Setso leather, my view was that perhaps you need to see whether you can bring in outside investors. And I've suggested to you that there are organizations such as Angel Network Botswana, which are geared towards assisting people, get investors into their businesses. We have a criteria at Angel Network Botswana. And I thought, looking at your product, certainly I thought this would be an ideal candidate for what we are about. Because one of the things we've noticed is that people get stuck, not because they don't have the right ideas, not because they don't have the right passion, but because they don't have the right mentorship, and they might have funding challenges. But normally it's more mentorship than funding. So we offer a lot of mentorship. That's what I felt hearing from you and understanding what your challenges are. I just had a voice at the back of my mind saying, this is a mentoring issue. This is an issue that can be solved. So that's the thing that I want to emphasize. Obviously, as an organization, you're on as an association, you're on the right track, because in Setswana we say moroto wa esi ga o ele, which basically means that you need efforts of others to have any impact. So it's a right game that we are playing, but you need to resurrect your individual businesses, and this strategy that I suggested, I would certainly get you there, in my view.
Okay, well, thank you. No, definitely I'll get in touch with Angel Network as well, because yes, mentoring, it has been a huge problem, you know, somebody who can assist you in terms of creating a workable system, you know, that is that can a roadmap, you know, help you with all that. So I would gladly and I'll take the opportunity head on. Yeah.
Now look at that camera there and share with the viewer your final parting thoughts, words of encouragement, and so on.
Okay. I would just say to my fellow colleagues in the creative industries, yes, it's tough, but it's also presenting opportunities within the creative industries. We have realized there's lack of skills in our country, so this is an opportunity for us to turn ourselves into like teachers or promoters of our own sectors. If I'm a leather person, I should be offering tailor-made courses for either children or parents or whatever. So let's take these opportunities head on. Let's collaborate more so that we don't work in isolation as we had before. Collaboration is key, and introspection is also very key. So we should not be discouraged by what is currently going on. We are the people that can change the whole economy, and we are the people that can help people in times of COVID like this, because you'd find as creatives, people rely on us to help make things better. You know, you have your musicians, you have your crafters. People, while in isolation or in lockdown, now is the time for them to learn these skills, to take their minds away from what is going on around. So these are opportunities that I think we should just grab and utilize.
All right, thank you very much. But would you share with your them your contact details where they can reach you?
Okay, we are Lebang Leather on Facebook, Twitter, and all those platforms. And then my cell number is 73, or the company cell number is 7359 7776. 7359 7776. We custom make all leather accessories.
Okay. Is there an email or a WhatsApp number?
Our WhatsApp number is 7359 7776. Email lebangsetso@gmail.com, or my personal email account is lebangkolagano9@gmail.com.
Thank you very much, Lebang. You've been a great guest. Thank you very much for sharing with us.